We have traditionally thought of audiences in this very 20th century sort of static sense as being entities that we can draw a box around: males, females, young, old, educated, uneducated. But the world is more complex than that. Probably always was, but it certainly is today. We have, each of us fulfills multiple roles and has multiple needs. And so it is about thinking about how do we capture useful information about our visitors. And the only way to capture that useful information is to shift the focus from who to why, and think about that why as a ever-changing negotiation between the institution and the visitor. And that, I mean, the point I was trying to make is that if you think about current visitors, they're participating because they perceive that there's value in the institution. And the value proposition has the potential to be larger, but there are whole sectors of society who don't see how that institution can be valuable to them. And so from an institutional point of view, it's about opening up that frame and trying to understand, even amongst our current visitors, are we providing sufficient value? And particularly for people who aren't our visitors, why are we not perceived as valuable by them? And how can we build that relationship? I mean, what's interesting in the data is the fact that a large percentage, I can't remember if it's a majority, it's about half of all visitors are first-time visitors. And what that is communicating is that it seems okay for people to say, I've been there, done that. And that there isn't anything sufficiently engaging to make me want to be a repeat visitor. I'd like to quip that any museum can get somebody to come once, but can you get them to come 10 times? Can you get them, in fact, really challenging? What would it take to create a 21st century museum where visitors came 50 times a year? But given that the vast majority of institutions in a country like Denmark or any place are small local museums, that would seem to make sense. Now, I mean, there are a few large institutions where you would say, okay, Copenhagen National Museum, okay, we will be a national museum, we will attract international visitors, and then have a different relationship, at least with that segment of our audience. But most of the museums are local institutions in local communities, and why are they also attracting primarily first-time visitors? How would that make sense? Because eventually you'll run out of first-time visitors. In this respect, it is a zero-sum game, and so the game has to change. And it's, in part, the game is changing whether you want it to change or not, because society is changing. And people are looking for relationships. You go to the restaurant where actually people know who you are and can welcome you by name. Because ultimately, if the food is equal, I'd rather go someplace where they greet me by name. And why shouldn't we create institutions where we greet our visitors by name and we know their needs, we know their interests, and we can meet those, and then people will really come 50 times a year.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.